Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you are doing well. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are going through our round 4 review of AFL Fantasy. The bye rounds are over and we've had an interesting start to the season. So you can probably see the majority of my side on the screen. I'm going to kick it off with a bit of an overall rank discussion as well. We did start the year at 25k. Chipped all the way down to 9k, and then we've sort of blown back out to 11.6. At one point this weekend, we were into like 300 and something overall rank, and then blew out on Sunday because we had a few players not really play and perform the way I would have liked, which meant a lot more of those lower scores made it into my final score for the round. So let's kick it off in defence. Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, fantastic. Again, okay, low scoring game against Port Adelaide, 65 at the half, really could have kicked on and, scored a solid 100, but we've had Nasiah now for 2 weeks, and his 2 games, he's gone 112.91, goes into the Giants at Norwood, but then Bulldogs, Lions, Fremantle, Carlton, West Coast. I think he's just going to be a very good hold as long as he doesn't get injured. Tommy Stewart, again, starting pick, 95, 9 injury game, and then a 108. Hard to know sort of really what he's been looking like for us. Again, we'll see what the Crows can do. Again, they've got 3 big key forwards. What type of role is Stewart going to play? Is he going to be the interceptor with a De Koning going back, with a Blixas probably back there, and with a O'Sullivan back there as well? So we'll see what his role looks like. But again, happy to ride with Tommy Stewart and a good trade-in option. Jaden Short doing what he does, again, 97. If you offered me that at the start of the year, I would have been very happy. What's his overall average as well? He's averaging 92. Again, he started the year priced like in the 8s, didn't he? He's gone up 34k. So, low 8s, averaging low 90s. We take that all day long. Freya, everyone's talking about Joel Freya, just needs to go, I think. The role's not there. We thought he'd be rebounding off half-back like he was in the preseason, but not quite what we want to see. Sam De Koning, again, job done. Again, Melbourne, lots of marks given up last week as well. Don't know how consistent that's going to be, but we're going to talk about him a little bit later. Matty Roberts, again, 78. Overshadowed a little bit by Riley Bice, but I think Matty Roberts will be fine against Collingwood as well. From a midfield perspective, Dawson, Oliver, Ashcroft, Chera, big ticks. Probably should have captained somebody else other than Max Gawn. In hindsight, really probably should have just gone with Bailey Smith. Everyone was talking about Smith, and that's cost me a lot of points. And probably the rank, swing could have been a little bit different had I captained Bailey Smith. But it is what it is. Connor Rozee, disappointing. Port really starting to worry me as a Port fan as well. I don't think Connor Rozee might have the ceiling that we thought he could have, but with Butters back, maybe tags start going to Butters ahead of Rozee, which makes him a good pick. Moraes as a rookie, it's fine. I can live with that. Nathan O'Driscoll, frustrating that he's picked up the injury, and we'll talk about him in the trade plans. And then the Ashcroft boys, loving every minute having these 2 in my side right now. So very, very happy to take the Ashcroft combination there in the midfield. And then Clary, again, does what Clary does. He's playing Essendon at Adelaide Oval this week. Again, I can't see Essendon really tagging this week because Melbourne are that bad. So could Clary just keep that little ton run going that he started in round 2? De Koning and Gawn, a lot of people talking about downgrading rucks. I'm not even thinking about that at the moment. Jerry's having issues. Nanks, actually probably been solid. Let's have a quick look. If I go rucks, so Rowan Marshall is the highest price, but if we go average for the rucks, Darcy Cameron comes in at 107, Marshall in at 100, Jared Witt's at 100, who's gone 125, 79, 96. Timmy English comes in at 96.8 with a 73, 99, 101, 114. Nank was the other ruck I was looking at starting over a Max Gawn, who went 123, 69, 97, 90. Max himself is averaging 92. So there's not heaps between them all. When you're talking 96, 94, 92, 93, technically I've picked probably the worst out of the lot by going with a Max Gawn, which sounds strange after he started so well against a Kieran Briggsless GWS, but the 63 probably hurts his score the most, but I'm not going to panic on any of the rucks. Forward of the ball, again, No major issues here. McRae, not fantastic, but everyone's got McRae, Daniel, look, Smith. I think those three in particular everybody has, so it's not like, you're going to separate yourself with those picks. Sam Davidson as well, highly selected. He's sitting at only 55% owned. So again, Sam Davidson isn't going to change the game. Hugo Garcia, extremely disappointing. I thought once again, no Jack Steele. 66% time on ground, but his CBAs have just kept going up and up and up. So he was around the ball, which probably makes this a bit more annoying. No marks, which is the difference between the Richmond game. Just didn't get involved in that outside game whatsoever like he did against Richmond. And again, needing to figure out what we're going to do with Hugo Garcia. Rankin, everyone's spoken about it. I'm not going to go into heaps of depth, but 5 free kicks against, which you can see here as well. So, 3 points a pop. An extra 15 points are gone. Again, misses that mark and that opportunity after the siren to give the Crows a crack at drawing or winning the game. But that is what it is. Rankin with a calf issue this week, but, I think you just ride it now. The fixture's fine. Geelong, especially if he plays midfield, I think he's going to be all right. Giants are going to be tough, but then Fremantle, Carlton, Port, Collingwood, West Coast, Sydney, and then a couple hard ones before the bye, but then get some really good bounce-back games off the bye there with Richmond and Melbourne. Not really panicking. My bench isn't in the best spot. Defensive line looks really good with Trainer, DeConning, Zach Reid. Very happy with that as the back end of the defence. Camporeale, Hasty, red dots, I think. Campo may come back in, but they've announced a debutant as well, so I'm a bit worried that Campo might not come in. Boyd, no chance coming in. Hall and Stone should play, and Lindsay's a test this week. So hopefully Lindsay gets up and we can move some pieces around in order to get him back on field, because I'd probably play him over a Morace against Hawthorn. But other than that, the team, if you asked me on Sunday night what my team was like with Nod around, I was pretty happy. Obviously, we need to get Bice in, so Joel Freya to Bice, for me, is the easiest move. So this is what the team's looking like ahead of game week 5, or round 5, I should say. Riley Bice does come in. He's someone who I just, for whatever reason, I think for money's sake, I started in Supercoach. So I'm very happy I've not had to make that fix-up trade in Supercoach, although I didn't field his score last week because I took Trainer as a loop. But Riley Bice comes straight in. The marks are going to be there. I think the Swans clearly want the ball in his hand. So Riley Bice makes his way into the side for a Joel Freya, which frees up a lot of money. And the name that has come in for me is Andy Brayshaw, somebody who I was very keen on in the preseason. He has dropped a little bit in price. He's dropped 65K, which, between him and Jordan Dawson, the fact that now I can get both into my side is a huge positive. Everyone's talking about the marks not being there for Brayshaw. 1-2, 1-2. Again, I think if Fremantle want to have success, they need to be, moving the ball with pace, but also sort of getting back to a bit more kick over, handball game, which I think for Fremantle it suits them. I think getting Hayden Young back into this team is going to be huge, just to help Sarong and Brayshaw out. I feel like they're just having to do a lot of that dirty work, which is why their possessions are really high, but they're not maybe getting as involved in the build-up through the play in their game. So I haven't moved all the pieces around because I haven't locked this trade in yet. But that is what I'm thinking. If I can figure out how to work this, I don't know how to do this. Now, if I go, is it Stats Center? I'm just going to go open a new tab. I just want to see what comes up here. Here we go. And I want to go with, I don't know how to do this. Now I shouldn't do this. If I go midfielders, see, that's total points. I want to see, how do I find out who's buying people? That's what I want to find. League overview. No, my team. It's not rankings, not match center. It must be in the stats center somewhere. Maybe I'll figure this out. Action. No, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Oh, it's frustrating me that I don't know how to do this. All prices, all statuses, 2025. Not form, not recent score. Coaches' choices. No, I don't know what I'm looking for here. Oh, here we go. Team percentage of teams who played, total points. Nah, sorry guys. I was going to look at who's been sort of transferred in so far, but I'll have a play around with that a bit later on. But when we're looking at midfielders, and I'll go by price, So some of the guys that have been floated around this week, around the same price as a Brayshaw, is, say, a Tom Green, who goes St Kilda and the Crows. Again, what I'm worried about with Tom Green is that stat line, again, he's had 37 touches for only a 121, and he's included 5 marks in that. If you're getting 37 touches, I want you scoring close to a 140, because his tackle numbers have been a little bit high this year, but you can see he doesn't do them both at the same time. It's one or the other. He's either really tight inside or he's getting to the outside. There's no real stretch. That's 37 touches with 2 goals for a 121. Where a Brayshaw, who has had 35 touches, has had 9 tackles and 1 goal, and puts up the same 120. So I think there's a better ceiling when it comes to a Brayshaw, especially when we're looking at mids again. Look, Tommy Liberatore, once again, 108, 109, 142, 96. Fantastic start to the year, but I don't expect him to maintain that when everyone's back. Sam Walsh, again, 10 tackles, 12 tackles, but his scores are so dependent right now on the tackles. But again, he's someone who here with, 31 touches, can put up a 140 without kicking a goal, because he can put marks and tackles together. That's what I'd be looking for. Again, a Nick Dacos, not this week, but someone I'd be looking at again. Here we go again. See what I mean when it comes to numbers, but he also can put up 4 tackles and 7 marks. You want to be finding these guys that fill the stat lines. Now, I know that Brayshaw hasn't been doing that this year, and that's why I'm going Brayshaw over a Sarong. When it comes to value, the value lies with Sarong because he's a little bit cheaper, but he's not someone who typically fills out these categories of marks and tackles. Right now, he's predominantly inside and all he's doing is tackling, but he's getting these huge possession games. He's not kicking goals. That's going to dry up, and that's where we see those 80 scores, where long-term I see a Brayshaw being able to hit the marks and the tackles and then really kicking on and hopefully pushing forward and kicking goals. So that's what I'm looking at doing this week. It means I hold Rankin, who is named. It also means I don't really get to cover my bench with too much. It leaves me with 78k. Next week, a DeConning probably has to go for us, which I'm fielding him this week because I think against the Crows and their tall timber, Geelong will want to try and possess the ball, which means if he gets involved in the chippy stuff, we'll go from there. Again, I'd love to be able to loop with DeConning, but I can't. I've got no red dots. Reed and Trainer are going to play, so I can't do that. So I think I'm just going to roll with DeConning tomorrow night. Again, praying that Lindsay gets up so we can at least look at Moraes and Lindsay, because at least Campo will probably be a loop for us. But that midfield of Dawson, Rosie, Oliver, Ashcroft, Moraes, Ashcroft, Brayshaw, Chera, very happy. Again, we're going to loop with Bailey Smith, and I've got options on how I can loop with Harry Boyd or with Campo, so I'm not worried about the looping. And then next week, Garcia needs to make a move as well. So early thoughts for next week will be a DeConning probably down and a Garcia up. We'll get DPP, so we'll have a look at Horn Francis, maybe a Nick Martin, maybe be able to move Ashcroft into the forward line and then move Garcia up to a midfielder, which would be even better. So we're going to have flexibility next week. So I'm just going to ride the Garcia train. If Steele's back, I might just flip this to Max Hall. I think their matchup's pretty tough, though. It's GWS. I'm going to be flipping and flopping between Garcia and Hall, and it might be Max Hall, just if Steele's named. So we'll go from there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What should I do with my trades? And then if you've got any questions for your own sides, let me know in the comments below. But thank you once again. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon for another video on the channel.